Data is the new oil. Clive Humpy, 2006. This is one of those modern world mantras that we could see all over internet. As well, this is kind of the language that we find on the internet when we search for open data, or publicly available data, or simply for any type of data definition when we are online. As you know, we're living in a data-driven world, and our phones are constantly bombarding us with ads or simply just trying to tell us where to buy it, for whom we should vote, or simply showing us videos or funny videos about cats, which I think they're funny. With failures like Cambridge Analytica, and of course I have to bring that up, or stories like WhatsApp are trying to implement ads on their platform, we usually know that Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, Netflix, any big tech company, you name it, are trying to harvest our data. And we have to be on guard on that. And I feel as well that we need to learn more and faster how all of the implications of that could be on our lives as a new zeitgeist. And the wider public conversations, data privacy tend to go to the relationship that they have with celebrities, for example. I don't know if you remember a few years ago with iCloud had that data leakage and all of the celebrity photos were online and all over the world. Alright, we have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any social media platform trying to focus the data privacy discussions on the public realm towards them. We really need to send another message, and don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure and I know that I want all of my data secured from all of those social media platforms. But I could say there is another type of collection of data sets that we should try to gather and farm in a better way, that it will help the human race to live a healthier, fulfilled and longer lives. And that collection of data sets are related to healthcare data. As you may know, artificial intelligence is changing the world as we know it, as well every industry that touches. And according to Andrew Ng, one of the founding fathers of deep learning, he says that only agriculture and hair beauty industries are not and will not be changed by any type of automation created by AI. So if that is the case, and medicine is bringing lots of improvements and as well is bringing longer lifespans to humans, we also might think that how can we enhance and get better at predicting diseases? Or how can we get better at prompting for medications? As well as how can we get better at curing, managing and preventing diseases? So if that is the case, we can go from this to this. A focus on data in the coming years have the potential to make healthcare more predictive, preventive, and personalized. So meaningfully that could bring a potential of reducing healthcare costs, as well as to lead better patient outcomes. But you know, I think we need to talk about data rights. But first things first, how healthcare companies produces their data or trades it? Well, everything started when you have a symptom, because you have a flu, or you happen to have an accident while riding your bike around the city, or you're doing your annual checkup. So then you go to the doctor, and the doctor will prescribe you some medications. Or if you had that accident on your bike, you will need to get a cast on your arm. Or if you're doing your annual checkup, you need to do some labs, biopsies, x-rays, you name it. All of these procedures have a code, and they're recognized as medical billing codes. That they could be international, that they're recognized all over the world in every country, or they could be local to your country. This process is executed to reimburse you if you happen to have a healthcare insurance, or probably if you want to be part of any medical trial, or simply if you happen to be living in a healthcare country with a free healthcare country where terms and conditions apply for that. So after all of the data is collected, it has to be protected by the entity who produces it or registers it. And so protected health information and protected identifiable information, PHI and PII, are born. Protected health information, PHI, is the health status, healthcare provision, and healthcare payment from any specific individual, from their past, present, and future health status of that individual. Protected identifiable information has the purpose of identifying, locating, and contacting a specific individual. And that could come from their financial, medical, educational, or any employment record. There are at least 18 PHI and PII identifiers. It could be your name, your address, any type of date. Could go through your PPS number, your medical record number, your account number, to your vehicle identifier, any web URL that you're searching on, or even your IP address. When at least all of these 18 PHI and PII identifiers are removed from data, as a result of product, we have de-identified data. And I happen to like that. There's one main law in the US that protects healthcare data, which is HIPAA, Healthcare Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. By definition, HIPAA was created by the US Congress, and that contains an administrative simplification of the standards that they have to be spread nationwide. That means that any transmission and protection of the health information are run by these standards. And that could be data standards, privacy standards, the transactional code set standards, and as well as the national provider identifier standards, because provider data has to be protected as well. And in Europe, we have the General Data Protection Regulation, well known as GDPR, that started to be taught in 2016 and implemented in 2018. And the GDPR is a protection and privacy law that follow on the individuals that they are in the EU, the European Union, or the EEA, which is the Economic European Area. And it also addresses transfer and protection of the data when one of the members is outside of the EU or the EEA. Aims primarily to give control to individuals over their personal information and simplify the regulatory environment. And you might ask yourself, like, how HIPAA and GDPR overlap, or if they have any difference, or what happens, are you HIPAA compliant if you are GDPR compliant? Well, let's start with this. GDPR only affects members of the EU and the EE area and the PII information. But HIPAA only handles information or healthcare information that is managed by organizations within the US and solely in the US. So GDPR has a broader scope, but one of the similarities that both have is that GDPR talks about healthcare data as data concerning health, and HIPAA directly talks about healthcare data as PHI. But GDPR has an advantage. It can give you, or it can give to any person that produces the data rights over it. And I think HIPAA has to learn a lot about her. So after all this, you may think, how does it affect Americans and Europeans, these HIPAA and GDPR protection laws? Well, if we don't live there, if they don't live here, but data scientists live everywhere. And the healthcare improvements are taking so long, not only for the lack of reforms in the system, but also because of permissions. Sometimes we don't have the permissions to access the data. And people tend to think that the healthcare data is available and ready to use. And the real-world delays of datasets for analysis are extremely frustrating. And as I mentioned before, legislation protects PHI and PII data and treats every person as a member and not as a data point. So Healthcare companies have to honor their contracts because it's law. But it's not the same situation for certain companies that they are not under the legal insured industry system. Contracts written by healthcare companies are tied to legalities to protect the information of the members. As well, the law is utilized to avoid that corporations could share the personal information of their members in the way that they want, as well with other parties, protecting their information in the most appropriate manner. But your data is being harvested anyway, and I hope you hit your steps today. But with the gadgets like the fitness watch, some type of glasses, or certain type of jewelry, companies that produce, innovate, and develop new products for the retail market related to wearables, they're under certain loopholes of legality because they're not necessarily entitled to be under those laws. So sometimes we don't know where do they store those the data that those machines are capturing. Healthcare data is a serious business, and by definition, it's a life and death business. But regulation needs to be fit for purpose. Our lawmakers and industry leaders must take into account all the capabilities that we are building with the technology that we have in our hands now. So all of the machine learning, deep learning, AI, all of these features that we are creating with that technology needs to be legal ASAP. The data is there, the tech is there, but the legalities are restricting us for accessing that data. I might be wrong, but I don't know if you noticed that in the light touch regulatory areas, big tech companies are doing improvements quicker. And I don't know, different sectors like vision, voice, recommender system, robotics, and every short time and space. So I think you have to imagine a well-regulated healthcare system where companies can share that data in an appropriate manner, and sensitive and identified data are removed from it and shared with all of the data scientist community. So, how do we solve this situation? In order to keep everybody happy and to avoid the human cost of unshared data, I think we have two options, at least in the way that I see it. As it's called federated learning. That's the technical one. So it's a concept, an algorithm created by Google recently that what it does is enables your phone to work collaboratively. So you just install on your phone an application that it will learn from the data that you have on it. And then it will update the app, and it's going to be stored only the learning from the data on the cloud. And how does this apply to us, or how does this apply to healthcare? In the same sense, we probably have lots of apps that they look like having your medical record in your hand. So if that is the case, we can install an app, it gets updated with all the information stored in that app, and gets released to the cloud without your data leaving your phone, but learning from it. And the second option that probably we have is a basic one, an administrative one, just changing the contracts. So with sharing the minimum necessary, it could bring us the benefit of the reduction of the healthcare insurance premiums. As everything that I've discussed today, I think and the primary situation that we have here is we need to look after the patient's data information. But we have to know that the only reason that we're doing this, or we're trying to get access to it, is just to have better patient outcomes, improve quality of life for people, for their families, for their friends, for the community. So in conclusion, I think we should be mindful that our society is going through so many changes, not seen before due to the technology that we have in our hands. That we should not be afraid to ask and demand the rights over the data that we produce. And as well, that healthcare data is protected. And in order to live longer and healthier lives, that implies to adapt the regulations that it will enable us to learn from us. Thank you.